Right now at 4:30, disorder in the village of Dolton that we've been covering for months is now impacting other suburbs where Mayor Tiffany Henyard also has a leadership role. Henyard is also the supervisor of Dolton Township, which includes a total of 17 towns.
Elected officials are speaking out about budgets, federal probes, and financial records. Regina Waldroup is in Markham with more on that story.
You guys have been led astray. You have been bamboozled. You have been hooded.
Dolton, not the only community concerned about self-titled super mayor Tiffany Henyard.
If she speaks out loud one more time, you remove her.
The mayor of Markham questioning her decisions and her leadership. Henyard has dual roles, mayor and Dolton Township supervisor.
I'm standing with the full force of this government here, and I don't see that happening in Dolton Township. I don't see it happening in Dolton either.
17 communities make up Dolton Township, representing more than 158,000 people. And this township, also a taxing body. Right now, the township is without a budget. It was to be approved May 31st, but was tabled.
That budget needs to be looked into much deeper.
Aldermen say they are being inundated with calls from taxpayers.
I hear it every day. There's no transparency within our township.
Henyard is at the center of a wide-ranging federal investigation and a number of lawsuits.
You know, at some point, there needs to be some oversight, and someone has to get to the bottom of what and why these things are happening.
Questions are also being raised about Henyard using taxpayer dollars for personal expenses, including her makeup artist. This itemized payroll sheet for the township from May of last year lists Brandon Moman as an administrative assistant. But when we reached out to him, he told us he's Henyard's makeup artist. Chris Gonzalez is a Dolton Township trustee.
Just, once again, a long series, unfortunately, of things that just seem to be done incorrectly or possibly illegally.
We reached out to Henyard's administration for comment, but didn't hear back. Today, Governor Pritzker shared his thoughts on Tiffany Henyard and whether the state should step in.
There is an investigation that's been called for, and now I know there was a veto that was overridden that will now allow that investigation to go forward.
Reporting from Markham, I'm Regina Waldroup, NBC5 News.
Thanks to Regina. She's worked hard on that story.
Governor, are you monitoring what's going on in Dolton and Dolton Township and leadership there? Are you concerned? Taxpayers seem very worried. There's chaos at meetings. What can be done? Could you play a role in stepping in some way? What's your take on the situation?
So I've looked at that question, whether the state should and can play a role. The federal authorities, as you may know, are involved and investigating. I've read that. I think that's a public piece of information. There is an investigation that's been called for, and now I know there was a veto that was overridden that will now allow that investigation to go forward with former Mayor Lori Lightfoot in charge of that. I think that those are two pretty good authorities for looking into this, investigating it, and getting to the truth. We'll support them. Well, we looked at whether we ought to put resources, whether it's state police and their anti-corruption efforts, or asking the Attorney General. The reality is that there are already two pretty significant investigations going on, and so we'll support them in every way that we can. But it's really just a matter of, do you want everybody running over each other in those investigations, or do you want two concerted efforts toward getting the facts?
And chaos, confusion, and police rushing in to remove people from a suburban Dolton building.
This all happened last night after a majority of trustees voted for Chicago's former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, to continue her investigation of Dolton's current mayor, Tiffany Henyard. NBC5's Regina Waldroup has more on what happens next.
Dolton's Village Hall.
Hello. Nobody's gonna be hurt if you keep talking.
A hotbed of activity Monday night with a village board meeting that went off course. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was there.
Okay, nobody gonna speak. We gonna clear the room in a minute.
Briefly addressing residents before her mic was shut off.
Okay. Even though they turned the mics off, we will continue working on behalf of the residents of Dolton, and we will give you the facts that you deserve.
Why would we pay anybody any money if y'all have the actual people meaning the FBI's here. So why would we waste money?
Before the meeting was stopped, a majority of trustees voted to override a recent veto by the mayor, allowing Lightfoot to continue her investigation into Tiffany Henyard, who's accused of misspending and also at the center of a number of lawsuits in a wide-ranging federal probe. Lightfoot in a statement writing, "I look forward to the work ahead and urge Mayor Henyard and her administration to fully cooperate with this investigation by promptly providing the requested documentation to give all concerned a complete and accurate accounting of the fiscal conditions for the village." During public comment, residents had a lot to say about the village's finances, investigations, and the fact that barricades were put up around Village Hall before the meeting.
I think it's so horrible that this mayor will use her police department to block all the parking spaces so the elderly and the handicapped people have to walk a block to get to this meeting.
Also happening at that meeting, Mayor Henyard struck down the recent appointment of trustee Jason House as mayor pro tem. The next Dolton Village Board meeting is set for June 17th. Regina Waldroup, NBC5 News.
Regina, you are on the story. We appreciate it. It's Friday night. Welcome. Good evening. I'm Stephen Holt.
And I'm Allison Rosati. We begin with something unexpected. A rescheduled budget hearing brings lots of fireworks in South Suburban Thornton Township, where a new budget was approved just a short time ago. Now, residents had lots of questions about spending and the township supervisor, Tiffany Henyard, who's also the mayor of Dolton. Our Regina Waldroup's been on this story from the very beginning. She joins us now live with the latest. Regina.
Allison, I have covered a lot of budget meetings, and this one that just wrapped up a short time ago, anything but boring. There was clapping, shouting, screaming, and then there were police. They were on the ready to escort people out of the meeting.
Read for yourself. Remove her. Remove her. Remove her. Remove her. Now you gotta go.
This budget meeting, anything but typical.
You have been led astray. You have been bamboozled. You have been hooded. People have told you that you haven't listened in order to hear it.
Thornton Township residents from several South Suburban communities filled the room, and they had lots to say.
Because what we're not going to do is we're not going to be homeless behind her raising our taxes.
And you said that you have good business skills, then you should take a look at the budget again.
You are a public servant. You serve us.
Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard is also the mayor of Dolton. She is the focus of a wide-ranging FBI investigation. She's also being sued by several Dolton employees, current and former. Residents say there are concerning issues with the township's spending and other areas of township government.
There are so many red flags.
People are just so tired of this whole situation with the not being transparent. And for Dolton, I can speak for Dolton, we don't know what's going on with our money at all.
Henyard makes $224,000 a year in her township supervisor job. In December, the Board of Trustees passed an ordinance that some called outlandish. It states that if Henyard runs for re-election in 2025 and loses, her successor's salary would drop to only $25,000 a year. But a bill passed in Springfield this week would undo that ordinance and make sure a move like this doesn't happen in the future. And that bill did pass in both houses, and right now all it needs is the signature of the governor. And here's what we still don't know tonight: the total amount of the spending plan that was approved. We're still trying to find that number. I'm live in South Holland tonight. Regina Waldroup, NBC5 News.
Regina, thank you.